Finally, Jingliu's fanbase can go crazy with her release. And if you're looking for another DPS with an absurd damage, this is your moment. If you're not familiar with the unit yet, she's from the Path of Destruction, which consumes her allies' HP to increase hugely her damage. But do you really know how to build her? Let's see what's the best relics, icons, and compositions for her right now. Jingliu's entire kit revolves around her skill. Similar to her Path of Destruction partners, her skill has two forms. In its basic form, it offers a single target attack that consumes 1 skill point, but provides a stack of syzygy. Its damage multiplier is twice of her basic attack, almost turning her skill into an alternative basic attack. However, upon reaching 2 stacks of syzygy, Jingliu enters her spectral transmigration state. In this form, her skill becomes a blast attack with an increased damage multiplier. Furthermore, it no longer consumes her skill points, but consumes her syzygy stacks instead. But her special state doesn't end there. It has more effects on her talent. Upon entering her spectral state, her action is advanced by 100% and her crit rate is increased by 50%. Additionally, her attacks now consume 4% of her allies' HP, which is then used to increase her attack. With characters around level 80, this amounts to around 2000 attack. Finally, her ultimate offers a blast attack with a damage multiplier even higher than her skill and increases her syzygy stacks by 1 point. Due to the attack and crit rate bonuses during her enhanced state, a notable portion of her damage will occur during this time. Therefore, her best rotation is to optimize the state. Typically, your best option is to use skill again, and after these 2 actions, you will enter the spectral state, advancing your action by 100%, and still on your second turn, you will use then enhanced skill and if possible, use your ultimate to extend your spectral state, and then enhance the skill and enhance the skill again. To start, her traces provide 37.3% in crit damage, 10% in max HP and 9 in speed. I have to say that she has everything in her kit to be savage. Among her bonus abilities, you'll find Death Realm, which increases her effect resistance by 35% while in the spectral state, Sword Champion that advances her next action by 10% when using her skill, and Frost Wraith that increases her ultimate damage by 20% while in the spectral state. From the rotation I used as an example, you have 90% of your damage applied during your spectral state and over 80% of your damage coming from your skill. Because of this, your priority when investing in Jingliu is to level up her skill as early as possible. Additionally, each point invested in her skill results approximately in 5.1 increase in damage in your rotation, and that's really important, especially in higher trace levels. Your second priority is her talent, which provides a 4.4 increase in damage for each level invested. And finally, her ult, which has a meager return of 1.5%. As your last resort, you can still invest in her basic attack, but it has no place in her rotation and should only be used if something really wrong happened to your battle. Jingliu is a damage dealer through and through. Whether in a composition with a sub DPS or hyper carry, damage will always be the main point of optimization. However, she's a character that already receives a lot of crit value and attack from her own kit. Because of this, her best option to optimize her damage ends up being in any bonus that is directly related to damage or that reduces the defense of her opponent. For her main stats, you will need crit damage on the body piece, since you already obtain 50% in crit rate in your enhanced state. It's better to invest in your crit damage and leave your substats to obtain the remaining crit rate needed. Speed on the boots, attack will already be supplied by your substats, so reserve this space to achieve the coveted 134 in speed. In your sphere, you will need ice damage, which is the best way to optimize your damage. Any other stats may have diminishing returns because of her kit. Finally, attack percentage on the link row. In your substats, you will be looking for the basics of a hyper carry, crit, speed, and attack percentage. Now that you know what to look for in your stats, let's talk about the relic sets. Among your options, you have the most obvious ones like 4 pieces of Hunter of Glacial Forest, or sub combinations like 2 pieces of Hunter of Glacial Forest with 2 pieces of Musketeer of Wild Wheat, or 2 pieces of Hunter of Glacial Forest with 2 pieces of Haka Space. Compared to a character with no relic effects, 4 pieces of Hunter of Glacial Forest achieve around 7.8% in improvements in your performance considering the standard of your rotations. Next is 2 pieces of Hunter of Glacial Forest with 2 pieces of Haka Space, which depending on your speed will vary in performance but has an average return of 6.21%. Your other option is 2 pieces of Hunter of Glacial Forest with 2 pieces of Musketeer of Void Wheat, which improves your performance by 6.06%. However, your options doesn't end there. In recent days, the community has raised another possible option, the Genius of Brilliant Stars, from the Quantum set Relic. If you don't recall, when you have 4 pieces of the set, you ignore 10% of your opponent's defenses, and if your opponent is weak to Quantum, it decreases your enemy's defense by an additional 10%. In this case, using Genius of Brilliant Stars, you have an increased 6.96% against opponents who are not weak against Quantum. However, against opponents weak to Quantum, this value increases to 15%, becoming a really good option for Jingliu. As for your ornaments, there is a very obvious option, the Rutland Arena, which offers 8% in crit rate and increases your skill damage by 20% when you reach 70% crit rate. Given that 80% of all your damage come from your skill in a standard rotation, it is a no-brainer option. Plus, you already get 50% crit rate from your traces, plus 8% from the ornament itself, leaving only 12% crit rate to be obtained in substats or Lycons. Similar to other destruction characters, Jingliu has a very easy option for Lycon. On the Fall of the Aeon is super accessible, just buy it from the Hertha store. Also, you can easily achieve Supreme Position 5. Because of that, I'll use it as a standard, a way to compare the performance of other possible Lycons. Let's say you can't use On the Fall of an Aeon. Your second best option is a Secret Vow, which offers a significant damage bonus and helps avoid diminishing returns of your other stats. Because of this, you can achieve 97% performance at Supreme Position 5 and 90% at Supreme Position 1. After that, your other option is Under the Blue Sky, which offers more attack and crit rate. In this case, considering that you have a perfect uptime after your second skill, the performance is 96% at Supreme Position 5 and 88% at Supreme Position 1. Finally, your other option is the Moles Welcome You, which increases your attack by 12% with each use of your skill and ultimate, with a maximum of 3 stacks. It obtains the lowest performance with 91% at Supreme Position 5 and 88% at Supreme Position 1. However, if you want to go beyond the standard, you can use the perfect Lycon for Jingliu, which is My Own Sword. It offers more crit damage and a new stack called Eclipse. Every time your team is attacked or has their life consumed, Jingliu receives an Eclipse stock, up to a maximum of 3 stacks. With each stack received, it increases the damage of Jingliu's next attack, and upon obtaining 3 stacks, she starts to ignore a percentage of her opponent's defense during the next attack. Its performance is monstrous. At Supreme Position 1, it has a performance 16% superior to On the Fall of an Aeon at Supreme Position 5. Jingliu's Eidolons are more complicated because they are balanced. There is no specific point where you have a power spike. In her E1, you receive 24% in crit damage for 1 turn after using your ultimate or enhanced skill. Additionally, if you attack only one opponent, it adds a new ice damage equivalent to 100% of Jingliu's attack. Be careful, many people read quickly and may understand that it doubles the damage, but it does not. On average, this means an increase in 12% in your performance compared to her base performance. Her E2 increased the damage of her enhanced skill after using her ultimate, her E3 and E5 increased her trace levels, and her E4 increased the attack obtained after consuming the life of your allies. All 4 Eidolons increase your performance by about 6% each. Finally, in E6, when entering the spectral state, it increases your limit to 3 stacks of syzygy and automatically gains 1 more stack. This increases the number of turns in the spectral state, offering more damage with your enhanced skill, and also increase your crit damage by 50%. It greatly boosts your overall performance, reaching almost 20% improvement. Compositions for Jingliu will depend on how you like to play with her. Her 2 main options are Hyper Carry or a carry with a sub DPS. In a Hyper Carry composition, you have room to add 2 supports and a sustain unit. In this scenario, among the possible characters for sustain, your best options is Lucha, because he's extremely skill point positive in addition to offering cleans, buff removal and auto heal. But if you don't have him, there are several viable options like Lynx, Leopard or Fushuan. For your supports, it's important important to have a Harmony character that will maximize your damage with a debuffer that removes your opponent's defenses. For the debuffer, there is no need to think twice. Silver Wolf or Pella both work really well. As for Harmony, your best option is Bronya. She's a match made in heaven since she can accelerate the process of activating your spectral state with her skill, in addition to offering a significant damage boost and crit value with her ultimate. But if you don't have Bronya, Asta and Tingyun are good alternatives. In a composition with a sub DPS, you can remove your Harmony and add another character. Your best option is undoubtedly Blade, as it synergizes very well with the life consumption mechanic. That's it, guys. What do you think about Jingliu? Were you lucky enough to get her? Leave in the comments below, and if you want more guides like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you and see you next time.
It's that time again to get busy.